Beat by DJ Stones.
Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
That was that cat, all right. Hey, before we get to the All-Star nonsense, we were just having a discussion about end-of-game situations. We were talking about Jalen Brunson probably should have been an All-Star instead of Julius Randle, but Julius Randle is the guy. And at the end of the Knicks-Lakers game a couple nights ago, the Lakers ended up winning in overtime. End of regulation, Knicks have the ball, and Julius Randle ends up taking, he has the ball. Brunson doesn't touch it. Brunson should have been an All-Star, right? We agree on that?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Randle doesn't touch it, but part of that is, well, he's the guy there.
He's the guy.
Yeah, and people sometimes think, Jared, do they not, that, well, certain guys are supposed to have the ball at the end of the game, and sometimes, you don't get to choose necessarily.
No, the defense has something to say about that, and I mean, maybe the greatest one-on-one player in the history of the game, Michael Jordan, passed off in several big key things because he didn't have the shot, a la Steve Kerr, John Paxson. It's like, good grief here. I don't care how good you are. If they want to send two guys at you or three, you better give it up. And as we talked about early in LeBron's career, he got criticized for not taking a shot when he passed to an open guy who missed it maybe, but
made the right basketball play.
It's a right basketball play. So just stop that stuff.
Can I ask you a question, Jerry, that has been bothering me since time immemorial? When teams have the last shot, as Whitey was talking about it, and one guy's controlling the ball out near the logo, and there's 16,
talking about 1-4 flat.
16 seconds to go. Yeah, like that. But at the end, the guy who controls the ball is the only guy who touches the ball, and he gets a bad shot, usually a bad one, and misses it. And every time I'm watching it, and we see it on every level of basketball, I go, why don't you just run one of your plays or your sets that are designed to get you a shot, and that way you can get a shot in the time allotted? Why don't they do that?
I think because they're dumb.
Okay. Finally, I get the question answered, and it's the answer I thought.
I mean, it's like, well, yeah, you want to get the very last shot if it's like a tie game or whatever. You don't want to get.
Absolutely.
I get that, but like you say, you can always you should be practicing. Let's say a key play with 10 seconds to go. You might hold it until you get to 10 seconds and then get into your play set, and so you can get a shot near the end of the game and hopefully
but not
win
just
it or
one
what.
guy standing on
Not
his own
one
trying to
guy.
yo-yo the dribble.
Dribbling, and then typically they wait too long before they try to do anything.
And then they stumble and knock it off their leg. And oh, geez. He's the guy who had to have it, though. That's okay.
Yeah, or he's waited till 4 seconds to make his move, and then they send the second guy at him, and it's like, whoa.
And it's too late. It's too late to pass out of the double.
Yeah, it's too late to pass out of the double. It's like, no, I just want to go out there and just slap somebody.
Yeah.
I agree, Jer.
Who do you want to slap about this De'Aaron Fox travesty, huh?
Well, it's not fair. I mean, I think he truly deserved to be on the team, and I'm not going to say who didn't deserve, because I think the guys that were picked, the way they were picked, they deserved to be there. I mean, except the the ones that the fans voted in, a couple of guys that we'll get
kind
into
of
that.
skewer things, a little bit.
I
kinda
love Jaron
ridiculous.
Jackson, but he missed too many games being All-Star.
He missed too many games for
He's
as
a
I'm
really good
concerned.
player, but come on.
Yeah, if he'd have played, 40 games at least, or so, 45 games.
It's not like his numbers. I know he's an all-defensive player candidate with, because he gets some help from the hometown scorekeeper and all that.
Yes.
But there's nothing about him that pops. It's like, well, he missed 17 games, but he's still got to be an all-star. So that was a bit, and I like him, but that's a head-scratcher.
I think De'Aaron Fox was a victim of the way that they select the reserves. They have to vote for 2 guards, 3 front court guys, and they have 2 wild cards. Well, in the West, there's half a dozen great guards. De'Aaron Fox is probably number 6 on that half dozen great guards this season. So you're going to have 2 of those guards will be voted in. Say it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Damian Lillard, for example. And then they have 1 spot for the 2 wild cards after they pick the 3 front court, and you put John Morant in that wild card, and you're going to pick a front court man for the other wild card. So it's kind of a numbers thing. I think De'Aaron was the 6th man in a 5-man group. At least that's the way the voters saw it, or that's the way the coaches saw it, and I think that's why he's out. And that's what scares me as far as if he gets, if somebody is replaced due to an injury, like if Zion doesn't play, he's a front court guy, and I really think that the league or whoever decides will go to another front court guy to replace him, a la an Eric Gordon, or perhaps, and this is my worry, I think if they go to an injury replacement, I'm looking at Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis might get the nod from the league.
Probably would.
I'm sorry. I know. That's why I looked at him kindly
Friday.
because I just think De'Aaron is just on the wrong side in the wrong group right now, and there's just too many good players at his position. And the sad part is, as you say, his season so far deserves to be in that top 5. I mean, he deserves to be there.
Yeah.
But he just
No,
got
he does.
aced out
And
by these other guys.
I mean, and I think there's a couple guys on there. I mean, here again, there's a couple guys didn't make it besides De'Aaron in my mind. Merits a lot of consideration is Anthony Edwards, and I was telling Whitey, I think C.J. McCollum has really been the most overlooked, really good player for years. You look at his numbers. He's done it. He's done it consistently. He's done it in New Orleans when nobody else is playing
efficiently.
Yep. Adjusted to different play. I mean, he's an all-star in my opinion. It's just not that. So there's that. But I agree with you. If there's an injury and it's a front line, they almost have to go with the front line.
But I think the next deserving player, I think, is a backcourt guy. But I think they'll go with the front line. It was interesting this year too because, 12 players, 11 different teams. Usually you don't see that. Usually they'll clump up a little bit, but the fact that the people that were voted in are on teams that are far down in the standings, I think, had an effect on that.
Did you happen to see the announcement, or were you maybe doing
I did
water
not see
polo
it.
or something?
I was doing a water polo
ARC
volleyball
water
hybrid
polo.
game, yes.
Okay.
Which was fun, by the way.
Have you seen Top Gun Maverick?
No.
They're at the beach and they're playing
Oh,
some
yeah.
kind of football where both teams have the
Yeah.
ball at the same time.
With Tom Cruise, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
His
and Tom Cruise still can't throw.
his
So
sports acumen in movies is not great. He's fantastic in Mission
it
Impossible.
looked like
don't get me
fun.
wrong.
I just couldn't figure out what the hell they were doing.
They probably had no idea.
Yeah, and then until
Well,
he
and-
told John Hamm, he said, well, we're playing, what is it? I forget, Blitzball? Or I
Oh,
forget the name.
Blitzball, yeah.
Yeah, I forget.
love
That's
that.
not
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
anyway,
Well,
yeah.
well, and team building, and I mean,
Yes.
once you did that on the beach for a half hour, then you could fly better.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to put your shirt on.
Way
Yeah,
better.
please
Way
put your
better.
shirts
Way
back on.
better.
Yeah.
Anyway, when they made the announcements last night, they had of course Chuck and
Chuck,
Kenny
yeah.
and Ernie and Shaq. And Ernie was sharing the cards. They were making the actual announcements, reading these are the reserves,
fantastic.
Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid makes it, and they show all the highlights. And DeMar DeRozan, who I know we're going to be talking about.
Yeah,
today.
that's interesting.
Yeah, and then I forget who read the card, but maybe it was Kenny. He's like, Drew Holiday. They had no highlights. They were not
I
expecting.
was a little bit surprised by
Yeah.
that nomination
They're-
and selection as well, and I love Drew Holiday.
and they
Oh,
were
I love him.
pausing. Yeah, they were pausing, and then I think it was Ernie says, "Do we not have any highlights for
Ernie
Drew?"
calls him out.
They were not expecting
Yeah.
him to get chosen. He's a great player.
And that's what we're saying. Jalen Brunson, he should have just said Jalen Brunson, and they probably would have had highlights that could
Well,
have gone that way.
I would take Drew Holiday over Jalen. I mean, I think
No, totally, but I mean,
I think Jalen Brunson deserved to be on there. But I
Yeah.
think Drew Holiday clearly deserves to be
we
on
love
there.
Drew Holiday around
Yeah.
here.
And
I
that's-
mean,
We're a
there's,
hive for
as
him.
a two-way player, I don't know how many guards are better than him. Period.
That's the problem. One of the problems with the whole all-star thing. By what means are we selecting these guys? They're all-stars. Everyone thinks, how can you pick this guy or that guy? Well, what are the criteria? There really aren't any, right?
Well, to get the most votes is the criteria in the first 5, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
And
the
then
fan vote is just silly. The way they do it. I mean, it should have some, I guess, controls of it to where it's not just a joke. A 3 for 1 day or
Is this
whatever.
a Reynolds wrap for today?
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
a Reynolds wrap.
Wow,
Reynolds
yeah,
wrap.
really already?
Yeah.
Lay down a beat if you get a chance.
You don't like
or
3
something.
for 1 votes, huh, Jared?
Well, I mean, to me, if they're going to have the fan vote, in my mind, if you want the best, if you want an all-star team, let's try to get an all-star team. Okay, fan vote can count 20%.
20%.
Media can count 20%.
Okay.
Coaches 60%.
Ooh.
And basically, you have maybe 1 day or some controls of when you can vote as a fan. And I know a lot of fans say, "Well, that's not fair." Well, no, the idea is to get the best players, isn't it? Now, if it's not, then let's not call it an all-star game. Let's call it a fan game, and be done with it. And so then the other thing, you have to play 80% of the games that your team is involved in. If you don't play 80% of the games your team's, you cannot be on an all-star.
Basically, usually teams are around 50.
So
40.
you're 40.
You got to play 40.
You got to
If
play
miss
40
more than 10, you're not on it.
Not on
Too
it.
bad. Sorry.
Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that also might help you get players to not the Jimmy Butlers of the world to set out every other game.
I'm not
when
going to
they're not.
manage my load tonight because I want to be on the All-Star team.
So
Easy
yeah.
with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Yeah.
a bonus for most of the top guys have bonus
I know
in their
Sabonis
contract.
I think Sabonis gets what's it,
1.3
1.3.
million. So there's and just about all of them do.
Tip of the cap to
I will
Sabonis.
say this: if I could make 1.3 million just to make the All-Star team, I'd be voting a lot.
I would be voting. I'd be getting all. It's 3 for 1 day, and then I'd probably load manage right after the All-Star game for the rest of the season.
come think of it, you could actually hire a group of people.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
hire them. Say, give
some
10,
bots.
10
Yeah.
people $10,000 to vote all the time.
I'll spend the 0.3 on that to make sure I get the one,
Yeah.
right? The 1 million. Yeah.
Good
One of those
investment.
bot farm things the Russians are running. Yeah, that's how some of these guys
Oh,
get
and
in.
Sabonis?
Oh,
you don't think?
yeah.
You,
don't think there's a connection there? Come
Not
on.
Lithuania and Russia are not really.
Okay,
affected.
all
But
right, that's
anyway,
okay,
yeah,
crazy.
it's a
Yeah.
great point. But I remember my parents telling me, Jer, years ago, the Cincinnati Reds. They had an all-star game, baseball game, and all the fans there, Reds fans, voted a bunch of Reds in, and the commissioner came in and said, no, we can't do that. And now teams in all sports literally tell people, vote for all of our guys, whether they suck or not.
Yeah, no, that's of course I'm old enough to remember that exactly because I was a little bit of a Reds fan. They were good at the time. Ted Glazewski.
It's when you liked baseball still?
Ted
When I liked
Glazewski.
basebel.
Johnny Temple.
Johnny Temple.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
All right,
Wally
yeah.
Post.
Oh, Wally Post. Love
You-
Wally Post.
you know.
Left-handed power hitter.
Jim Snodgrass. Who can forget
I called
him?
him Snotty. I don't know. Maybe it didn't catch on.
Don't tell me he got voted in.
No, that's when the commissioner stepped in. No Snotty.
But anyway, yeah, and that's exactly right. That's what happened. It's like they made a joke of it. And that's what we're doing in the NBA right now. It's a bit of a joke when guys who aren't even playing, Zion Williamson, and I'm a fan of Zion's. I really enjoy watching him play, but he doesn't play. So he
watch
doesn't
him
play.
when he
So
plays.
he can't be an all-star because he doesn't play enough.
Yeah. Don't talk too much about him because we have W's today. I'm not saying, I'm just
The
saying.
thing that I love, though, is when people complain about the fans. They go, something, that fan vote's just a popularity contest. Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
and that's
it's
why-
supposed to be. You're supposed to vote for the guys you like. That's the whole point
And
of
that's
it.
that's
And
fine.
that's why you decrease the value, right?
That's why we
Yeah.
decrease the value and kind of limit when you can vote.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're serious about your guy, you'll be able to vote, but you can't vote for him 50 friggin' times.
On the other hand, I'm not even sure this is true. I remember this.
I like
Maybe
it.
I dreamt it. There's one year in baseball where like Whitey Herzog's the manager, and he has to pick the reserves. And I don't think this is true, so I don't know where I'm getting this. But Art Howe was hitting like 330 or something at the All-Star break, and Whitey Herzog doesn't pick him. And people are like, "Oh, how can you not pick Art Howe?" And he says, "Look, Art Howe hits 281 every year. He's going to hit 281. Why should he be an All-Star? Because he's hitting 3 whatever right now." So there's that
love
too.
Whitey
Why does
Herzog,
having
yeah.
a good
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
season, or in this case, a good 60 for the season?
Well, yeah, there's a
Why
little
does
too
that
much of
make
the
you an
season.
All-Star necessarily? You know that.
So you're saying only the most famous guys should be
I
all-stars?
don't know, but that's certainly something to
basically
consider.
what happened. Yeah.
Yes,
It
yes.
kind of works out that way most of the time in basketball anyway. But yeah, that's why the like a Zion Williamson is basically always going to be on the All-Star team. He's always going to be there because the fans are always going to vote him in. That's why you knew that Steph Curry, he did play enough games, but that's why you knew he'd be there. That's why you knew LeBron would be there. LeBron can miss half the season, and your 80% thing, LeBron could play 50. He's still going to be a starter in the All-Star game.
Well, there's another rule there. I mean, I think the league, there's a mandate that that LeBron makes regardless. If he played 2 games and averaged 6 points a game, he would be on the All-Star team.
Yeah.
Because of...
Well, that's why there's always the Lakers on TV, even though they're in 11th place or whatever, because
they play. They're on every
LeBron on TV.
And I get that because I mean, LeBron and the most dominant player maybe in the history of the game, and certainly truly great. But they are where they are, and Anthony Davis has missed. Mr. Street Clothes is back playing. We'll see. So I'm a little bitter about that.
I understand that.
But I mean, they've got to do better. They do have to do better. I mean, if you really want an all-star game with all-stars, the most deserving all-stars, which is always impossible, and there's always going to be good players missed, as we talked about, Fox, Brunson. There'll always be that.
Yeah, the ones they have are good. No one's saying they're not good.
I'm not against anybody that made it.
One or two on each conference that you can kind of quibble about, and basically the only people that quibble are the people from the hometowns of the people that are extinct. But you would like to see De'Aaron Fox because he has done everything people have criticized him about not doing in the past. And they say, well, your team's not winning, so you're not making the All-Star game. Well, the team's winning. You're not doing well in the fourth quarter. What is he, the best clutch player by definition in the league? So he's done everything you think he's need to be done. And he had to be, I'm hoping, he had to not make it by just the smallest whisper because he's right there with everybody who's on the team.
Well, like I say, that if nothing else,
it's George Michael.
Just take the one rule. The one rule I'd want is, like say, the 80% of the games, and that probably takes care of most of it. I mean, even if you didn't change the voting patterns, but I think you should. I mean, if you think if there's a reason to have an all-star game, and I guess there is, I mean,
need to show something on TV.
Yeah. You've got the sponsors. You promised them an all-star game.
They or change the rule to almost all-star game.
Right.
And have 20 players on a team.
Yeah.
I think all-star games are kind of obsolete because now we get to see all the best players play against each other all the time anyway. And, you look at the Pro Bowl this year. I read something today that the NFC is leading the AFC in the Pro Bowl games. And it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Who won the dodgeball? Was that
I
last
don't know,
night?
and I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen that. The All-Star game, baseball All-Star game was the first one. That used to be a big thing.
Oh,
and now it's like, okay.
Because
All-Star
there was a
games
real
just
rival.
don't mean what they used to be.
There was a real rivalry back in the day between the players because they never played against each other, and it was, the bragging rights were important.
Yeah.
And obviously the $5,000 to the winning team was damn important because they didn't make any money. So there was a lot at stake, and they wanted to prove the American League's better, the National League's better. There was something at stake. Now everybody's friends anyway. Nobody cares about however much money you make from the game because they don't need it.
Well, it's picked up like a pickup game.
Yeah.
And I mean,
nobody wants to get hurt, which I understand. I mean, that's
I've heard,
worry.
from Willis Reed and Russell and Oscar Robertson and those guys talk about how important the game was to them because, number one, the money.
Yeah.
The winning team got more
money.
money.
Again,
and
they
it was
needed that
very
money.
important.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, they didn't, wanted the competition East versus West. Obviously, wasn't like baseball. But then, again, I'm old enough to remember the baseball game where a Stan Musial would play 7 innings, or Willie Mays.
Oh yeah, they played
the top
9
guys,
and they played 2 games a year.
Yeah,
for a couple of years.
for a couple of years.
All-Star games.
Yeah, which was not a good idea.
No, that was a mistake.
No, but you're right. They sit there and go, Willie Mays is in the game. Well, people want to see Willie Mays for 9 innings.
Yeah,
so he's going to play 9 innings.
Yeah, he's going to play the whole. I mean, the top guys played, and they competed. And it's like
there's bragging rights were
now.
important. They were
now
really
the
important.
home run derby or the home run competition is really more important than the game.
Yeah, so it's all going
missed
to
that
as
in the
upset
past.
as Kings fans are, it's all going to blow over. Is it right?
Well,
It's
it will unless there's a substitution and it's not De'Aaron
Well,
Fox. And I don't think it will be. And I think that's going to sting even more because you can rationalize this. Go, well, look, there's the guards and they didn't need another guard. And, maybe it's not fair. Maybe it is. Oh, wait a minute. There's a guy because we know the De'Aaron only missed by what? The smallest whisper.
Smallest whisper.
The smallest whisper. So if there's a replacement,
As
he
opposed
should be
to the biggest whisper.
loudest whisper, Jared, loudest whisper.
Loudest
Come on.
whisper.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
that. You know the vernacular.
I know it. I
you
know
know
it.
the lexicon.
No, smallest whisper opposite would be, he's right, the biggest whisper.
That's why I said he knows the lexicon. I don't.
Clearly.
Clearly, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I invented it. I have no idea what's going on.
If there's good news for the Kings and Kings fans out of this, as most Kings fans know, you got De'Aaron Fox, maybe with something to prove. Starting tonight when the Kings take on the Indiana Pacers. And that brings us to something brand new here on the Old Fashioned 3.
Oh,
and I got
boy.
to say, we haven't done it yet, but I think this is great. I think it's one of the greatest things ever.
That's a way to sell it.
See if you
job.
guys,
Nice
if you
job.
agree. You've done many pregame shows. You've probably done some pregame
I've
shows.
done some pregames.
We all know, and this is
Yeah.
no knock on any existing pregame show or anything. Pregame shows, they're just too damn long.
Oh, my.
Oh,
And,
are
I
you
mean, the ones that
ki-
we've
oh, my
been
God.
on.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like you
I've
can.
I've been involved in a lot of them, and I apologize. I truly apologize for all of them. Right now. I wasted a lot of your time.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Super Bowl pregame. What is it like?
It's
3.5
7 hours.
Yeah,
Yes,
like-
it's 7 hours.
Oh
it
my
starts
goodness!
the night
So
before.
yeah, so we're going to do something about that.
Okay.
Hopefully, we haven't actually tried this out yet.
Okay.
So I'm as anxious to see how this goes as hopefully you are. We're going to give you starting today the world's fastest pregame show.
Okay.
Right? You get
All
everything you need to know
Yeah.
about the
And you-
Kings. In this case, we're doing
So
the
it's
Kings.
like 20
and the
minutes or
Pacers.
something?
And you'll get everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I think we can do it in, what do you think, Stones? 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
What?
The fastest pregame
Okay.
show
I'm
in
game.
the world. Now, we haven't really run through it, but I'm sure we can do it. So I'll start, right? And then you can, and then, and then
Well, do we have to, does he get a talk?
well, it depends how long you go and how
Okay.
much time is
All right.
left.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah. So here we go with the welcome to the debut of the world's fastest pregame show. This is a good match. That didn't start.
It
Can
didn't
you-
start,
it didn't-
Stones. Come on.
Good matchup for the Kings because the Pacers try to do things in some ways same way the Kings do. They get up and down the floor. They shoot a lot of threes. But Indiana, where they're vulnerable, they don't rebound very well, and they do not defend the three-point line well. So that's where the Kings can eviscerate them. The Kings take care of business on the glass and shoot the three ball well. I think it's a really good matchup for them.
Well, I do too. And I mean, the couple of key matchups, obviously, Tyrese Halliburton, there's speculation that Fox won't play. So, in my opinion, Davion Mitchell has had a lot of success last year playing Tyrese and also at home this year. So that might be an interesting matchup to watch if it gets to that, as well as, of course, Sabonis returning to a former team and going against Miles Turner or whoever. So a lot of interesting things.
Pre-games are too long because there's too many people.
All right. Thank you, Phantom, doing your part. Yeah, so we like the Kings. Also, remember, Indiana had a game last night. Kings win tonight. And there it is, the world's fastest pregame. How close? 104. So, we got to tighten it up next time.
Took me 4 seconds to get out of here.
Yeah.
I put that on me.
Yeah. You actually did contribute a great deal.
I thought I was one of my better
I thought
pregame
that
shows.
was
Yeah.
solid.
It allowed
Yeah.
Jerry to go longer, and I went, not at all.
What we can do is we'll just end it there when you walk out, and I think we're right there.
I
in a
think we're
minute,
right
so,
there, because that's
All
my
right.
statement. There's just
Yeah.
there's 19 people on the panel. That's a little too many for the
Well,
pregame.
that's like the NFL things. They got 6 guys lined
my
up
goodness,
there, and
yeah.
each one of them gets to say like one sentence or half a
Yes.
sentence.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
And you can contribute so much in a half a sentence
Yeah.
too. You can really.
I
propel
think
the
Dak
narrative.
has a good game today. And then,
Yeah,
so what do you
yeah.
think, Phil Sims?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Well, it's like that one show that added Gronk. It's like, and I like Gronk, and
Sure.
he's great in commercials and stuff. It's like, what do we,
Yeah.
what do we need here?
And what Gronk does to make him Gronk, you can't do in that situation.
No.
You got to put him out with the people. That's the
Yeah.
only way you're going to get
Yeah,
Gronk.
he's a-
so
you
he's
know,
not
he's
even in
like-
the right place.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Mannings. He's really got a natural wit to him. It comes across.
He's gregarious.
He's
gregarious, and you can't be that on the panel.
No.
You can't be Gronk in that format. I do think, though, the fact that Indiana played last night obviously bodes well for the Kings. And that was a bad loss for the Pacers
Tough
last
loss,
night.
yeah.
And that was a tough one for you, too, because
tough.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing the Lakers come from behind like that and dominate the fourth quarter. very depressing.
Yeah, give them a little bit of motivation, make them believe in themselves. We can't have that, Jerry.
No, we can't.
Cannot have
no,
that.
we can't. No,
Yeah.
we can't.
No,
And
we
that's
can't.
very scary. I still look at the standings. There's still too much time.
Yeah.
And so I want them dead. I want them dead and over.
Well, you got to get some cooperation from the rest of the league too. They
Yeah.
got to put them. Like
Yeah.
Indiana last night, they got to put them away when they have a chance.
So LeBron is what, 60-something points now
Yeah,
from the all-time
I think
record?
he was 77 before last night, something like that. I thought it was
Yeah.
63.
63 away. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, Stone. So he's got a game against the Pelicans, and he's got a game against the Thunder. And the next Thursday, that's the one that everyone seems to be aiming for because that's on TNT against Kareem's old team, the Bucks. But he may,
He'll sit that one out.
that might be the one.
Yeah, he's going to sit
he
that
might
one out.
he might set the record
Yeah.
before then. You excited about it at all? LeBron breaking Kareem's record? I'm not sure how I should feel about it, frankly.
Well, I think it's a tremendous achievement because of everything he's done, and he's about. It's kind of like he's become the next Wilt. He's so high in everything, and that his records may stand, most of them, for forever, or if at least seemingly forever. So, yeah. But having said that, no. I mean, it's one of those things. It's going to happen,
Right.
So let's celebrate it when it does, and then just like it was when Kareem did it. It was a semi-big deal, but
huge,
nobody.
yeah.
But that was about it.
And that was Wilt's record then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was where, Phantom? Where did he break the record?
On the basketball court.
Yes. Do you remember? Do you know, Jared?
No.
Las Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Lakers are playing. I think the Jazz are playing them in Las Vegas.
Mark Davis have anything to do with that?
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how to feel about it, although in the end, it's something that is going to make people pay more attention to basketball, which LeBron has done a great job of. So I look forward to celebrating the whole thing.
Yeah, his prime has lasted 20 years, and you don't usually see that with athletes. And
we've said that. It's like there's if you want to talk about greatest player ever, there's quite a few you could say over a 4 or 5 year period were equal or superior to him.
Right.
But for 15, 18 years, there's nobody. Zero
on the top for a
zero
long time.
people that you could put in what he's done in his career.
Yeah, for somebody to be averaging what he's averaging at his advanced age.
Yeah.
It's
Too bad he's doing
unprecedented.
it as a Laker, right, Jer?
Oh,
really
boy.
hurts.
Yeah,
it really hurts.
I mean, I could be okay with it if he's a Timberwolf or something.
I would love to see him on the
they-
Timberwolves.
It's going to be
Would you
more
trade
than
Gobert for him?
when he finally breaks the record. It's going to be more than the smallest whisper. It's going to be a big thing for him.
It's going to be. Well, it is a big thing. Like,
That's
I mean, it's a huge deal.
Huge.
But the thing is, like, when they asked him about it the other night, and he says, "Well, I know it's not. There's no drama about it because he's going to do it. He's going to play 2 more years or 3 more years. That takes away some of it, but it's an incredible accomplishment, and he deserves to be celebrated for it. And he will. I think probably people will praise LeBron. Sometimes that happens. I think people will probably praise. I know they don't usually, but I think they will in this case.
All right. We asked a couple days ago our question about what's the best thing about the NBA right now. What's the worst thing? I don't know if you guys got to see any of the answers. We talked about a few of them here, and we said we were going to give somebody a prize. We never actually circled back and wrapped that up. And I was wondering if you saw any of the responses on Twitter, if you had any thoughts on what the best response was. I know one of them, which I really liked, someone said, heliocentric basketball is the best thing about the NBA now, and it's also the worst thing. And I thought that was a very
I saw that. I don't
perceptive
understand
comment.
what that means.
You don't know what heliocentric
No, I
basketball
thought
is?
that meant about helicopters. Does that mean something else?
I'm with you.
No, he said it to me with a straight face. So I thought that was the best.
I think
What
it
is
was
that?
580 Megaloo said
Well, that's
heliocentric basketball is the best. Heliocentric basketball is like the way Luka plays, where it's like it's all him. Like heliocentric,
Oh, I
like
hate
one
that.
guy based on one guy.
Yeah.
And it's good because you get big numbers and you get big stars,
Oh.
but it's also, for some of us, like that's not really how you play basketball. So I thought that was a very interesting
Well, it's an
answer.
interesting comment in this regard, and I don't particularly like that, but I mean, if you have that superstar, the Lucas and all that, it seems good to you, and if you don't, it surely seems bad to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The question
like-
is, can you win that way? Can you win?
Ultimately win?
Yeah. Can you be Can you be the best team when you're basically one guy's running the show?
Hadn't happened yet. Not saying you can't.
I know you compare Luka to Oscar, and Oscar
Yeah.
was great, but it wasn't until he teamed up with Kareem that he won a championship.
I mean, and he was so ball dominant, but he had to be just like Luka has to be. And I was listening to, somebody. I think somebody was saying, yeah, you can't win Luka. You can't win with Luka. Well, I don't know how much you win. I know the last year they won 51 and they got to the Western Finals. So for those that are saying otherwise, it's like, well, when you get that far, then talk about it. Now, he didn't win a championship. Will he ever? I don't know.
Yeah, but they were lucky they got that far last year.
Well,
the way Phoenix
I wouldn't
collapsed and.
Well, did they have anything to do with that, you think?
No. It was
No, it was just totally on one side, yeah.
I was watching that game.
Utah collapsed. Utah lost it. Remember, it was Jalen Brunson, actually, that carried Dallas in the first few games of that Utah series.
Yeah, I mean,
really made an impression on the brass,
Yeah, I wouldn't argue any of that, except that, at some point it's in the books.
Yes.
They did win 51. They have made the playoffs with him as a ball-dominant, centric person, much like James Harden. They didn't win the championship, but they won 60 games and got to the finals several years. And Oscar in his day, or other great individual players, the Dominique Wilkins, in a different way of domination. But overall, I prefer the Golden State Warriors kind of championships or the Bucks.
Just harder to guard too. Although, look at Giannis, what he does, like what he did last night.
6'11".
See, part of my issue with Luka is not that anybody cares, but last year before the Warriors and the Mavs played, I said something about it. Luka, he can't beat the Warriors by himself. He's not that good. And somehow it made its way into Twitter, and a lot of Dallas fans, they came after me in a way that I've never been attacked on Twitter before.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And it's like, and then after the series over, I didn't hear from him anymore.
I'll be darned.
What away? Where'd everybody go?
You didn't go back at them. You should have gone back at them.
Part of the reason every time Luka's name comes up, I get a little bit of a twitch there. That's
yeah.
Well,
you're just justified, being attacked unfairly.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible the way you were attacked.
As it turned out, you were. I mean, nobody knew for sure that he couldn't beat the Warriors. Pretty much.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'm with you. I didn't think there's any chance of that. I didn't think he could beat Phoenix, by the way, since they had the best record in the league, and at that time.
To them.
But they did. But he did. So, to me, it's like, hey, I prefer five-man basketball like the Kings are playing now, certainly with emphasis on a couple of guys who have the ball more than the others. But,
sure.
But there's still five-man involvement.
Just harder to guard. Speaking of unfairly attacked, fans, what did you think of what happened last night between Donovan Mitchell and your boy Dylan Brooks of the Memphis Grizzlies?
My boy Dylan Brooks, who I did not know I had an affinity for, should be.
I don't know why you're so fond of him.
I don't know how high the flagrants go. I would say at least flagrant 2 because he contacted 2. I would say definitely a flagrant 2.
Right in the ball rack.
That was totally on. My favorite commentator, Reggie Miller, was describing the action and said, "Well, that was totally an accident." And then they watched. He went, "Oh, no, it was not an accident. It was totally on purpose." And Dylan Brooks should suffer the fullest extent of the law.
For those who didn't see, and please correct me if I'm wrong, there's Dylan Brooks goes to the basket, shot gets blocked, he's down on the ground, ball's on the ground. He sees Donovan Mitchell here. He rolls over, so his back is to Donovan Mitchell who's standing, and then while he's prone, Dylan Brooks throws his arm up and happens to hit Donovan Mitchell as I say, right in the ball, right in the money ball.
I will correct you because it didn't happen to hit right in the ball rack. It was directly flung into the ball rack.
Yeah,
with the intention of damaging the ball rack.
You give him any benefit of the doubt whatsoever.
None.
Well, he wasn't looking, but
None.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah, if he wasn't looking, the force of the fling was very high.
Don't these guys know that everything's on video now and everybody has cameras and you're not going to get away with any of that?
Yeah, well, I guess not. I mean, the only thing I can say, and then certainly they're used to hiding it from the referees. They think, but.
Well, like you say, in the old days, that's all you had to do.
That's all you had to do.
Now you have to hide it from Twitter, and you can't do that.
And Dylan Brooks, he's, it's always interesting. It's like people always talk about Grayson Allen being a dirty player, and compared to Dylan Brooks,
Grayson Allen's Mother Teresa next to
Dylan
Brooks, right?
Yes, that's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mother
so
Teresa.
what should be done about Dylan Brooks.
well,
how important
I
is
know-
he to what the Grizzlies are? And, 'cause
That's
he's
not
one of
the
those guys.
point. The point is we have a candidate for a commissioner of the NBA sitting at this table, and I would like him to render a decision on this. I think there should be a suspension involved, but they'll probably, it was during the course of the game, something. I think you got to tell people you can't hit guys in the ball rack, okay?
Yeah.
You definitely can't do that. So
Shouldn't have to tell people how they should know that.
Future commissioner, I ask you to adjudicate this and decide the penalty for Mr. Brooks, if there indeed should be one.
Well, Mr. Basketball, I would say to you and to those out there, I would say, yes, we're going to suspend him because of what he did, and we know who he is.
Okay.
And so we're going to get this right. You can't do that. And we'll tell the Players Association we're actually protecting your players better than you are.
Yeah, we're actually really protecting your players.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
Now-
how many games? How many games, Commissioner?
I would probably just one.
Okay, all right.
But, you know,
I
with
was
a-
going
It does
to.
make sense. Yeah, I
with
get
a-
it. I
with
get
a-
it.
with
Ah.
a-
See
we'd
what
have
I'm
a
doing?
sliding scale, if it happened again.
Yes, if it happened again, I would say banishment.
Yeah,
League banishment.
Now, how important is that? Let's be honest here. It's one thing for us as fans and media. Oh, this is terrible. What do you think? How important is he to what the Grizzlies do? The fact that they don't want him hurting other people, but he's got that edge. Isn't that important to what the Grizzlies are and what they're about, to have a guy like that?
Well, of course it is. It's like Draymond Green to the Warriors. Yeah, he's important, but you can't go around doing that.
Yes,
okay.
Draymond
You
has done
can't-
that as well, yeah.
yeah, you can't do that, and so that's to any of those guys, whether it's Draymond or Dylan Brooks or
Grayson
Dennis
Allen.
Rodman or Grayson Allen, whoever. We're not gonna have that.
There
Yeah.
have been some great players that have been dirty players, haven't there?
Well, Chris Paul's one. I mean, Chris Paul, John Stockton.
I know Derek Martin told me one time, John Stockton's dirty.
Oh,
Yeah.
he didn't. Gary Payton, I think, would be known to take a shot or two. But but that's. I mean, to me, I'm not saying it's fine, but okay. We catch you, you're going to be penalized for it.
Didn't
That's all.
Horford just this year? Didn't Horford give somebody the business right in I think somebody was guarding him. He's like at the high
Yeah.
post. I don't know if you guys saw that. Al Horford.
It's a frustration
and
business.
he's
Yeah,
just like,
that happens.
Wham!
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh my.
Well,
goodness.
there again, it's like it's Harford. Okay, his history is not like that.
Yeah.
So you'd be less. I mean, to me, not saying you still might suspend him or you certainly would fine him, but the player themselves and Al Horford's, his career speaks for itself, I think.
Phantom, I know you don't like it, but I need guys like that on my team sometimes, especially
Well,
when I
he
got
gives-
I got John. He's flying around.
No, you need a protector. You need a Jim Loskatov, of course.
Yeah.
He gives the Grizzlies their grizzliness, so I understand
Yeah.
that. And he's a good player too. That's where it's a little sad sometimes when you see a guy who's a good player and still engages.
I don't know
in that
how
kind
good
of
a
behavior.
player he
I
can't
think he's a good
shoot.
player.
I think he
he's a
needs
good
to
player.
be. If he wasn't like he is, I'm not sure he would play for him.
Well,
do
I guess
think
then he's
he-
not a good player. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. I
stand
mean, I think
corrected,
he's,
Commissioner.
he, Mr. Basketball, I think provides something they don't
yes, he
have.
does.
And
He's a
it's
good
not-
defender.
He's a very good defender, a willing defender. Take on the toughest guys, has the confidence, think he can, and that sort of thing. So I think he's important and probably. It's kind of a bigger version of Patrick Beverly's who he is, a bigger, more productive version of that. So you need him, and he's valuable to him. But
Do you have to have one of those on your team if you're a championship caliber team? Do you? I mean, you want to have somebody with an edge, of course.
Well, let's look
But
at to try
look
to
at the
answer that. Look at
champion teams.
last year the two teams in the final. I mean, Marcus Smart, is he a little bit like that?
Very
And-
close, very close.
Draymond,
of course, yeah.
Did the Bucks? Well, the Bucks. Grayson Allen wasn't really.
Well, not
I don't know
really,
if They
yeah.
really had a guy like that. It certainly helps depending on
Yeah.
your roster, right?
oh yeah, I
And
think
it protects your superstars in a way too.
Yeah, and if you once like you say, once you got the John Morants and the Steph Currys that are a little more vulnerable, it helps. I think you do.
But if I'm playing them and there's a big situation, a key situation, like a big whisper
Yeah.
moment, or smallest
Yeah.
whisper
Well,
moment,
no, I mean you're right.
and I'm playing them and he's taking the shot, I feel like I did my job. If
Yeah.
I'm guarding them and he's taking a big
Yeah.
shot for them, I feel like thank you.
Oh, I thought
you're-
you were going to talk about how you're going to go give him one. Give him
I don't
the
need
business.
to.
Give him
No,
the
I
business.
want him to shoot it.
So you're saying that you might actually, if you're guarding him, maybe leave him to help on Ja or Desmond Bain? Is
That's
that
what
what
I
you're
would
saying?
do, Jerry. I think I
Wow.
would.
I kind of think I would
Just
too.
leave the guy open. Just leave this guy wide open. Say,
Well, I mean, unless he starts making them,
Yeah.
and he can make them.
Yeah.
I mean, but
gotta prove it.
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
And I know the other two can. Can
Yeah.
score.
Of course, that's not why he's out there, but he does.
No.
He does perform an important role for that team. That is all of a sudden they're struggling. Yeah.
just 2 ahead of the Kings, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. Moving up, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Bring them on. And by the way,
Yes, sir.
Just on the Grizzlies, how many Grizzlies do you think there are around Memphis?
I don't think there's many. I
Yeah.
wouldn't know.
I haven't know. I mean, I don't
think
know.
it's a forested area. No.
I think there
Yeah.
are probably more Grizzlies there than there are lakes in Los Angeles.
But there are
Maybe
many Grizzlies in
maybe not.
Vancouver.
Yeah, or how
Perhaps.
many?
I think there were.
How many jazz clubs they have in Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd probably be hard pressed to find more than one, and it
many?
probably sucks.
It's really
Yeah.
it's really popular though.
Yeah, it is.
I
Yeah,
guess.
Yeah. So
that's
I
a
mean,
good point.
that's just a thought.
It's an important. It's funny you say that because I was thinking that watching the Lakers
Yeah.
again. Like Los Angeles Lakers, Utah Jazz. What?
Sacramento Kings.
Well,
We're not a royalty over here.
What? We're not a
We're
royalty.
not royalty. We have no kings.
It brings us to basketball court.
We don't, do we?
No, we don't. But that's
Yeah.
okay. I like Grizzlies
Yeah.
better.
We're not a monarchy. You mean?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I meant, and thank you for the translation. You know English better. Yeah. Well,
It's
the
time for-
royalty.
yeah, basketball court, which is comp this. That's where Jerry gives us an assignment. He gives everybody an assignment. Some of these are pretty high level stuff.
Yeah.
And then he gives a player, a past player, in which case Sven and I are supposed to come up with a current comp, or the other way around. Gives us a current player, as he did in this case. We are competing against each other to come up with the best comp for that player. Today's player is
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan.
Did you change the name of this feature? Did it used to be comp this, and now it's basketball court?
I just said comp. I said comp.
Oh,
this.
okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know how many names
Yeah,
we
but
had for
he's
the
the-
feature. I didn't know.
I thought we
Basketball.
discussed this before.
We
did
did,
the
but I
thing,
thought I'd bring it up again.
Yeah, okay.
Just to be
well,
annoying.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I thought so.
Yeah. So DeMar DeRozan, we're supposed to come up with a comp for DeMar DeRozan.
Yes.
And Phantom won the first 2 contests, and I picked up a W the last
Yes,
time.
and I believe you go first in this
Yes,
one.
that's
Yeah.
correct. The interesting things
This
about
is a
DeMar
great one.
DeRozan, 2 things that really stand out to me. And one is when you look into his numbers, like, man, he's really good. I didn't know he was that good.
21,000 points.
But 2 things that stand out to me are the fact that he scores all these points without making threes. And he also was a really good player, averaging 20 points a game for a team that traded him and then won a championship after they traded him.
Okay.
So those 2 things
All
to me
right.
are really unique. And I found somebody who's like his doppelganger because matches up on both fronts. Okay? There have only been 5 guys in the history of the NBA who scored 20 or more points a game in a season, averaging fewer than 1 3-pointer. Okay? Michael did it 11 times. Barkley, 10 different seasons. And then there's 3 guys that 9 different seasons, 20 points or more per game, less than 1 3 a
Okay.
game. DeMar DeRozan did it 9 times.
Okay.
D Wade did it 9 times, and so did Mr. X, my Mr. X. Also, as I mentioned,
Are we going to get to Mr. X?
yes,
No,
and just
I'm
one
excited.
more moment. One more moment.
I don't understand
One more moment.
what we're doing already.
Yeah, you don't understand what we're
Yeah,
doing?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So the Raptors had DeMar DeRozan average 20 points a game. They traded him, then they won a championship.
Okay.
Mr. X was on a team. He was averaging 20 points a game. The next year they traded him, and that team won a championship. My Mr. X, DeMar DeRozan comp, he's 6'5" to DeMar DeRozan 6'6", Adrian Dantley. Adrian Dantley, Phantom, is my Mr. X. It's virtually a case of identity
Really
theft.
good. I forgot the question, but it's really good. I liked it. My guy is not Adrian Dantley. Adrian Dantley, to me, is way more physical. He's more of a forward than DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan plays forward
more
now,
It's a
but thank you.
2-3 kind of a
Yeah.
combo. So I went back in time and found a guy, again, Whitey mentions it, and for once I'll agree with him. DeMar DeRozan scored 21,000 points. I did not realize he's top 40 all-time in scoring, and now my goal is to get him past Reggie Miller, of course. But he's a guy in the backcourt, as you mentioned, doesn't shoot a lot of threes, gets a lot of points close to the basket, mid-range. I went back in time and found a guy who compares to him physically, because this guy's 6'5", also a 2 and a 3, and scores all of his points because the threes weren't around in those days from the mid-range. I went with Sweet Lou Hudson.
Sweet Lou.
By the way, 6 times now DeMar DeRozan an All-Star. Adrian Dantley was an All-Star 6 times. Thank you.
Sweet
Anyway,
Lou was an all-star 6 times.
Yeah. Was he?
Well, 5. I was kind of lying.
Yeah, you were kind of lying.
Yeah, I was kinda lying,
yeah.
'cause I didn't know.
All right, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
I totally rest my case.
Well,
Adrian Danley's a big guy. Dribbles.
Actually, I think this is pretty both solid. I can see where you both went there.
Okay.
Obviously, this was the winner.
Yes. Lou Hudson.
Lou Hudson.
Adrian
I mean,
Dantley.
this Lou Hudson.
Yeah. We love Lou Hudson.
Sweet Lou, man. That 15, 18-foot jumpers,
gosh.
automatic.
Yeah, of course he didn't shoot threes. They didn't have one when he played.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, exactly.
Adrian Danley they had one, and he averaged like
Adrian
17
Danley was
points.
a giant fat guy. He's not going to go out and shoot threes. All he's going to do is go inside, big strong body, get fouled, go to the free throw line against the Kings a million times. Million times against the Kings. We hated that guy in the old Arco.
Yes, we
did. Hated
and
that guy. All he did is go to the free throw line and dribble the ball 100 times.
And post him up at the top of the circle.
Oh my God, I hated that.
And then
guy.
let him, drive and draw fouls.
Yeah.
And
That's
sort of why.
Okay.
I had a little bit of a. I mean,
I knew I had it. I knew I had it, Jerry.
Lou Hudson. Yeah. Yes. Congratulations.
Well,
Respect your
and Lou
decision.
played with Pistol Pete and everything, and so,
I'm seeing this anytime somebody from like the 60s, early 70s.
I was even
Roger Brown, Lou Hudson.
I thought
Jerry's eyes get big.
Jerry, I thought Lou Hudson was a really good one, and I thought it was good enough that Whitey might have stolen it from me. He went first, so I had a backup guy. And I know this guy wouldn't have won, but I turned the clock back even further than Lou Hudson and got a guy who scored around 18 points a game in an era where they didn't score as many points, or he didn't score as many points. My guy was Sam Jones, and I was really happy with my Sam Jones.
Boy, I
was happy with Sam Jones because he
Sam
scored his
Jones
points.
was a shooter, though. He was a really good shooter.
Of course he was a shooter, but how many threes did Sam Jones have?
Well, none.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah.
No, he was
a much better shooter than DeMar DeRozan.
I don't know. Wow. I mean, he was.
He probably was
in his time.
I don't know about
in his time.
But he used the backboard all the time. And I
back in
that.
the day, used the backboard.
I loved the backboard.
Could play off the dribble.
Yeah.
I
just want to mention Sam Jones. I just thought.
Anything else?
I don't know. I think I won with my first guy. I probably would have won with my second guy.
I think you would have.
I probably would have. So that's okay.
I think you dominated, really.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to just step back. A little bit of small whisper right now.
40-point win for Phantom today.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have gone with Mark Aguirre. That was one of my choices.
Actually, he'd been a better
Actually,
choice.
that was like the first guy I thought of yesterday.
Was it?
Mark Aguirre's a good
Mark
one.
Aguirre's
physically, he's a little bigger, I think.
But he could shoot better and play. He
Yeah.
didn't depend on getting to the line, and that's why the Pistons got better once they made that move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway.
So who's going to make the big move this year? Who needs to make the big move? Who's going to make the big move at the deadline?
I want the Kings to make a move. I don't know if I don't think there's a big move, but I mean, I think it's a complimentary move. But I think the Kings, there's a little bit of a window, and maybe with the Lakers and the Clippers and the Warriors all getting healthier, maybe not. But I think right now there's a little bit of a window. They have that lead over fourth place. I think they got to add a little bit of something to help them, and not a big move, but a significant move, and I think it'll propel them forward. I'm really looking for them to do something.
I'd like to see them that too, just because I'm scared of what's the schedule they've got and who's behind them.
Yeah,
I'd like to. I wish, I think it's tough, and don't get me wrong. I think with Monty there, he can't risk hurting what he's got. But I mean, if he can strengthen,
that's the problem.
If he
you're
can
right, Joe.
add a little something without giving up too much, it'd be great. And certainly the Warriors or the Lakers or the Chasers, the Clippers, they're all going to be looking to try to do something. And it's easier for those that are down the law, because they're not risking as much.
Yep. By the way, the Clippers lost last night in Milwaukee. That game started at like 9:20 Milwaukee time, by the way.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Kawhi was 7 of 26, I think, from
really?
the floor. Yeah.
He's sleepy.
Yeah, very sleepy.
So because the Clippers lost, the Kings right now, as we speak, are the only team in the West with a winning road record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that worries me about the Kings a little bit is, like, the last game, Monk was great, but Herter and Murray were both a little bit off. And I think Murray might be getting close to a rookie wall now, and I don't know that you're going to be able to count on him. Like you say, Jared, the schedule's difficult down the stretch. I don't know that you can count on him as much as he's been. He's been great so far as far as a rookie's concerned, but I think he might hit the wall, and if you have situations where Herter's not shooting the ball well, then you got 2-year starters and it's not giving you what you need to get. So that's why I look to do something to bolster that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree because, I think that's the whole thing. I mean, with Fox and Sabonis, Harrison Barnes to a great degree are guys you can trot out there and know they're going to find a way to be productive, maybe differently, may not be making shots all the time.
Yeah,
but
in Harrison's case especially,
But the other guys aren't. Certainly with Keegan, you see the potential. He's been terrific and all that. But he needs to make his threes to be effective. Herder needs to make his threes to be effective. And the other night they didn't make any of them.
Well, there's a guy on your team right now making, he's making $4 million, and he's unhappy with his role.
He's unhappy with $4 million?
He's unhappy with his minutes.
Yeah.
And you've got Matisse Thybulle out there. He's making $4.4 million. So is there a match there maybe? You also got Alex Lynn at $3.9 million. And the Sixers, if what we think we know is true, they're looking for a backup center. You got Chimezie Metu at $1.9 million. Trey Lyles making $2.6 million. You got to make the salaries match.
Obviously,
I don't think we want to trade Trey Lyles, right? He's really important to
Jerry's
what you're doing
been
this
championing
year.
that cause all season long.
What about Terrence Davis going out and Matisse Thybulle coming back? I don't think Philly.
But that's the only problem there. I just said we need the guys who can score. If these guys aren't scoring, and that guy's not scoring. Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying what you're bringing in, you're not counting on him to score at all. You're counting on him to shut other people down, which would be helpful as well, but it doesn't give you that many points.
Yeah, I think something like that. Just why would Philly do that?
I don't see why they would.
Short of maybe expanding it a little bit, where it's an Alex Lynn and Terrence Davis, and you maybe get Furkan Korkmaz. yeah. And because he is
Furkan Korkmaz,
whatever his name is,
yeah,
we
sure.
know who
I know
he
you
is.
mean. Yeah, that guy right there.
He can make shots, and
he's
basically a small forward, big guard type, a wing. So which you need maybe a little more than a smaller guard. So something like that, and then sweeten it with second rounds or
throw a couple of rounders at him. Yeah,
something like that. If something like that, you might say, okay, I get it. You're playing around the edges, but it should kind of fill in the gaps a little bit.
Yeah, I'm all for bringing in Thybulle if I can give up something that I'm not using that much anyway, because I still think he could be useful for me.
He could help,
But a name now that's being thrown around a lot, if what we're reading is true, all of a sudden a lot of teams are looking at OG Anunoby from the Raptors, but we don't even know if they're going to trade him because they're really at the crossroads now deciding what they're going to do. One of the most disappointing teams in the league so far this year. We don't even know if they want to trade him, but if they do, there's a lot of teams that are interested.
Yeah, but partially he's partially they're not as good as they were because he's not in the lineup that much. He's having injury problems and you can't count him. So, I don't know if you want to get a guy. If you're getting a guy to help you close out the season, I don't know if you want to go out and spend. You're going to have to spend a little bit for OG. So if you're going to spend a guy that you really can't count on coming down the stretch, I don't know if it benefits you that much.
Well, I think to get him, you're going to have to talk about your lottery pick. Or your draft pick. You hopefully it wouldn't be a lottery pick, but I think you'd have to give up a first rounder and somebody to get him because other teams would do that.
Yeah.
Yes. He's under contract next year for like $18 million.
Yeah.
He can make the three. He defends.
No, he's an excellent player.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
Like
Phantom
said, if you knew you could count on him for 70 games a year, the value goes up.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure you can. But you'd love to have him. He's a younger Harrison Barnes, really.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of teams interested in him. But, again, that's if the Raptors decide to move on. Because they still may look at what they have and say, we can still make this work. But people there are not happy.
By the way, Siakam didn't make the All-Stars either.
No, he did not.
And there are people who are angry about that
and
as well.
They should
He's a
be.
tremendous player, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, Phantom, are you ready for old-fashioned 3 A to Z?
I certainly am.
Yeah.
I certainly
What's
am.
our letter today, Stones? Okay, X, we don't have any. So
we don't have any.
Wait a minute. What did we do last time?
V.
What's after V?
W. Way to go, Stones. Now, did you recall being in school? Did A, B,
Wow, I was
C, D.
panicking there. Did I lose the alphabet? I know it when we get older, Jerry, we lose some things, but names
I
the alphabet?
I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I know the alphabet.
If they change that on us, Jerry, we're done.
Yeah, and even if it was X, I think we'd be skipping that one anyway because
I tried to skip the last one, and they made me do it.
Boy.
All right, so let's try Let's give W a try, man.
Is it okay with Stones? Yeah. Well, there's a million W's and they're all tremendous. But
What are you looking
I
at
had
my
to
stuff
go with.
for?
Why would I look at your stuff? I'm already 1-0 today. Actually,
Okay.
basically 2-0.
Okay.
I had to go with my second favorite player of all time. I have to go with Bill Walton. I mean, one of the greatest, in my mind, one of the greatest players of all time. Obviously, incredible injury problems, which the number I read today was he played less than 50% of the available games he could play during his career. He had like 39 or 40 surgeries, but he's one of the greatest one of the 5 best college players that ever played. MVP, Finals MVP, 6th Man of the Year with the Boston Celtics when he came back in the 80s. Just
We're going to
an
be here a
incredible
while,
career.
so if you got something to do, you might want to
And
do it.
there's a couple of interesting things. I mean, he was with the Blazers, and then toward the end of his run there, he says, well, the Blazers medical staff kind of screwed me over here, so I don't want to be a Blazer anymore. So he sits out, and then he eventually ends up with the Clippers and doesn't really play very much with the Clippers. But when he does play for these teams, he's always high teens in points, low teens in rebounds, assists, 5, 6 a game, and usually around 3 blocks. And so he's delivering all the time. Ends up on the Celtics, and the only reason, according to Wikipedia, he ended up with the Celtics is that he called the Celtics and the Lakers and said, I want to be on one of your 2 teams because he was going to leave the Clippers. And Jerry West went, I don't know if you can stay healthy. And Red Auerbach went, hey, Larry Bird, what do you think? And Larry Bird said, okay. And basically that's what happened. And he put him on the Celtics. And was that the best Celtics team, Jerry? I mean, he was amazing that season, the 6th Man of the Year, and they won the title. And he was amazing in the final against Elijah and Sampson, averaging like 6 points and 9 rebounds and 2 blocks in 19 minutes. So Bill Walton, fantastic player, fantastic guy. We've got a chance to talk to him many times. Just an incredible guy. I had a class with him at UCLA. I dropped it. It was too hard, and he almost ran over me with his bike. So a lot of stuff going on, and that's why I got to go with Bill Walton.
So I guess what we're saying is, if he'd run over him with his bike,
He apologized, Jared.
Okay.
He apologized.
would be the old-fashioned too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you probably would have never got off the ground without me, obviously.
Yeah. Bill Walton came to visit us once when we were on KCK with Kevin the Rat. Kevin the Rat had known Bill. They
Yes.
done a show together in Portland. So Bill Walton came in, and he was really nice and everything, although he was mad because we didn't break on time. And he was like, you guys you're supposed to break.
You have a clock. Come on.
All right.
All right,
Which was
big
kind
man.
of funny. But I was telling him as we were in commercial, hey, I know you live in La Jolla. My daughter's going to school in the fall. She's starting at UC San Diego. And I know, if you got any advice. And he goes, here is my number if she needs anything. It's like, you actually did that.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so
Did
cool.
she
Throw
go
it
over
in.
there?
No, she
think-
didn't.
I
She
thought she
didn't. I
did.
think
I
one
thought
of her
she did.
friends got the number
Yeah.
and pranked him or
Yeah.
something. I was like, no, why did you do that? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and he also
but-
remember when he came to the station, we were taking a picture with him, and he told Little Joe to take his hat off.
That's
Remember that?
right.
Little Joe, take off your hat. He's wearing his hat off in the picture, and he couldn't do that. I was cracking me up. He's just great.
If he hadn't finished up with the Celtics and won that championship, I don't know that he would have been considered like one of the 50 greatest.
Yeah.
and all
Boy,
that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I think that he really needed that to kind of
Rehab his image in a way.
Rehab his image and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, people looking up his numbers: 13.5 points, 10 rebounds, and he's in the Hall of Fame. What's that about? Well, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. I mean, of course, the experiences I had with him for a couple of years there on TV was really because the Maloofs brought he and Jim Gray in, and basically they brought him in to do some TV work with Grant and I, or because they thought they were going to take the team to Anaheim.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was
So
getting
so
setting up,
basically
yeah.
that
They
was
were laying
all
the
that was
groundwork.
about,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the groundwork. And so I knew that. I mean, I know it bothered Grant more than me, but I said I ain't going anyway. So what do I care?
Come on, Jerry.
Yeah,
You
come
gotta
on,
go.
come on,
You got to go, Jerry. Come on.
But I said no. If that's that makes sense. So get 2 guys that know the area and everything. I'd probably. So anyway, but I always remember when it first started, we did a 3-man booth, which I hate because it just doesn't work.
Tell me about
Oh,
it.
wow.
It doesn't
Doomed
work.
from the start.
It doesn't work, especially with Bill, because you ask Bill one question and you about half
Half an hour, yeah.
Yeah, it's over. And just one hyperbole after another. And I mean, but I really, to Fanless point, I mean, really liked him. A good guy. I like I say, but what I finally did that kept me sane was when he'd work a game with Grant, and then I'd go work with G-Man. and then I'd work a game with Grant, and he'd work with G-Man.
Yeah.
And of course, G-Man, because I came up with the idea, and G-Man still is a little bitter to me about that.
It's tougher on the radio.
Because G-Man, G-Man does such a marvelous job on radio and controls the game and tells the story.
It's hard to do with.
And no, you couldn't. No, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill just be talking.
Yeah, we did a radio interview with him when he was doing the whole with the Kings, and it looked like they were going to Anaheim.
Right.
And I think we literally got like one question, and I think part of it was he didn't want to talk about why he was doing the games or something. It's like
Absolutely.
he just win.
It was all over.
But he's a really good guy. My W player is he's not a popular guy in these parts these days because he's probably an all-star and shouldn't be. Zion Williamson, because it's just his career hanging in the balance here. Got a chance to be a player that we will never forget. Got a chance to have a career that we all look back on and go, oh, what could have been? And I hope that he ends up figuring this out. But 8 players in the history of the NBA to this point have never averaged fewer than 20 points a game in a season. Now, it's unfair to him because he hasn't played – unfair to the other guys who played a long time because, like, Luka's on there, Donovan Mitchell, Embiid, and Zion Williamson, along with Michael, Durant, LeBron, and Pettit. So, again, that's kind of unfair because those guys haven't played that long. But it's only 3 years. He's never averaged less than 20 points a game for his career. But while he was hurt, they were 3-13 in January. I'm hoping he comes back. I'm hoping he finds a way to stay healthy because I've never quite seen a player like him, and I hope we have many more years of Zion to look forward to as fans. I'm not sure we can count on that.
Yeah, that's the scary part. You just hope it's not a Bill Walton kind of situation.
Yeah, he could definitely be going down that
him
road.
or Greg Oden, who never really got a chance to play, and through no fault of their own, injuries are injuries, and certainly with this young guy, I mean, he's so unusual with his
when he blew up the shoe in college. Think of the force necessary to do that.
Yeah, so you just wonder every time he takes off and is about to fly, you think, but he's got to land.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah,
So,
you watched him in college and you said, well, that's amazing, but you can't do that in the pros. You can't just go be like a man monster, whatever it is in the pros. He comes to the pros and does the exact same thing and can't be stopped. Around the basket. I mean, he gets his shot blocked more often than I'm sure he's used to, but he really can't be stopped around the basket because he gets 3 jumps in by the time another guy takes
it
one.
reminds me a little bit of Sean Kemp. I mean, that's the only thing. They're different, but that's the only player I ever saw where when I saw Zion at Duke is like, I see a little Sean Kemp. Other than that, I've never seen anybody.
Yeah, a little. I mean, to me, kind of a mixture of Barkley and Kemp. If you could kind of get in the middle there, where he just sheds guys. I don't care who they are or how strong he sheds them.
Even him? Would he shed him?
Yeah. Think he could dislodge me, Jerry?
He'd dislodge you
into the wall. I just remember watching him in college. Go, that's amazing. You can't do that to professionals. They're grown men. And he comes in and he's a rookie and he's just doing it. I mean, it doesn't even matter.
And they stay lodged.
Yeah. They're unlodged for a while.
Yeah.
All right. So Zion Williamson's my W guy. What do you got?
Well, my guy is probably, maybe my all-time favorite player that I've ever been involved with.
Bonzi Wells.
Yeah. Connie Watkins.
Yes, Connie Watkins.
Yeah, actually, it could still be 2 guys.
I thought I had it.
44, and it could be. Okay, well, who we got?
Clarence Foots Walker.
Oh, he loves that guy.
Clarence Foots Walker.
Yeah, bravo, Jerry.
Southampton, Long Island. Played 11 years in the league with the Cavs and the Nets, and I think maybe briefly with Dallas. Basically came out of high school. I think had lost 1 game in 2 years. Went to Vincennes Junior College, played 2 years, won a national championship, lost, I think, 3 games in 2 years. Went to West Georgia College with me, and we lost, I think, 4 or 5 games in 2 years he was there. And he was,
You probably remember those few losses more than the wins.
Oh, yeah. We cheated most of them.
Was it Coach Reynolds or was it Foots, though?
Oh, it was Foots. I can't even. No.
Because I do recognize a constant in those teams that you mentioned.
Well, the great and I've told Grant this, I said the great, if there was one great coaching move I made with Foots when he was at Vincennes as a freshman, Bob McAdoo was a sophomore. And,
not a bad squad.
But early in the season, we were playing somebody and beating the crap out of them. And Foots came over and said, he was pissed at Mac because Mac was calling for the ball all the time. And I said, Foots, who's the point guard here? He said, I am. Okay. Don't throw it to him if you don't want to.
He's going to call for it all the time, right?
Yeah, he's going to call for it all the time. Now, just remember this, Foots. If the game gets close, throw it to him.
You were a good coach.
And Foots looked at me, Coach, I get it.
Bravo, Coach.
Now, sometimes it needs to
come
be.
on, Jerry.
It needs to be kind of that simple. But
That's great.
And so we had a little bit of the same kind of thing. I mean, it was one of those things where he was never heavily recruited and should have been. He was always overlooked. He wasn't a great. He scored, but he didn't. Was just one of those guys that I always say at Vincennes, we had another guard that played with him named Tony Byers that had more talent, and he went on to Wake Forest, was all ACC and all that, but he never could really play professional. But Foots just was, his old statement was, I always remember too, and when we were at West Georgia together, and I was getting on him about something, guy was out playing him early, and I said, God, Blazing, he's kicking your butt. And he said, yeah, he is. He said, but he won't in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He said, as the game goes, I get better.
Oh, okay.
That's coaching
and,
too.
and
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean, but that was who he was. The great competitor was. Yeah, but I'll get him.
Yeah. What I'll never forget about him is, if I'm not mistaken, he broke Carly Yastrzemski's high school record.
According to some,
Wait a minute.
some PR people,
Yeah, that's what I saw somewhere.
Well,
What the?
he did.
What?
He did score 51 points in a game and scored more points in his high school career than Carl. They just didn't happen to play at the same high school.
Yeah. So
So he broke the high school record of a guy at a different high school.
Yes.
Makes sense to me.
That's not
Sure.
the way it was.
Yeah, that makes sense to
broken
me.
down in the
Triple Crown winner.
Jasmine guy.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Foots
All right.
Walker.
Should we try to get on Monday, the old-fashioned 3? Yeah.
I'm encouraged he knows the next day that we're supposed to get together. That's actually good for him.
Yeah,
I've got an opening. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's do it.
Thanks
do
for
it.
being with us on the old-fashioned 3. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.